Poverty all around the world is underreported. That will indict us in the future and damn us as a present generation by future generations as we damn the past for their wrongs. That extreme poverty is being addressed here in Australia, the 12th biggest economy on the planet. That homelessness is being addressed is the horrendous lie of our generation. We're not going forward on homelessness. Homelessness in Australia is reported, according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics in terms of their data collection, as 116,000 at the last census. In fact, it's 300,000 homeless. There are 180,000 people, Australians, on the public housing waiting list.
I work with the National Indigenous Critical Response Service. We provide that service to many people. We don't care where they come from, what they do, what their background in life. We just want to make a difference in some ways. So in that, we actually provide tangible and intangible support. There's a lot of people that we help with accommodation, some people that we can help with food, just depending on what their circumstances are. We're here for the people where we can.
1/3 of the homelessness of Australians is actually comprised of migrant-born Australians. 1/3, 1 in 3, 1 in 4 of our First Nations brothers and sisters. So black and brown brothers and sisters are disproportionately presented within homelessness, and that also reflects on the ground in street present homelessness.
People should not be living in the street. It's 2018. We're in the millennium now, and government authorities should understand and start giving respect to Aboriginal people and start giving us a hand with the situation we're in.
Why should people be in situations when they don't have to? And that's where we need to come together as a community and wipe this out, because this is where we actually make that social change, make that difference, and start reducing the disparities that currently exist in terms of the health, the housing, the education, the employment. It's about treating people with respect and providing that support where we can, and not just, like I said, going out and having that conversation. What happens after that conversation? What's the action plan for that person or for that family following that?
The old thing they say, not seen, not heard, don't matter, which is very, very wrong. So I hope that you will understand what I'm trying to say to you, that please help the Aboriginal people out in this sort of thing, and for the housing, start building some more houses. You talk about employment, well, you make employment if you build more houses to support the homeless.
It's really important for people to feel loved, respected, valued, appreciated by society. Everybody has a story, and unless you've walked in the shoes of others, you cannot judge that person.
It's my mum's birthday today, and she's passed away, and my sister passed away this year, and I move around in Armidale and move all over the joint. We sleep around on the streets and that, and here, there and everywhere. We sleep in the cold and all that there. And well, if you need someone to sleep, you need someone to sleep, yeah.
I do believe that something has to be done for the people in WA, especially living on the streets, that's Indigenous and other people, white society, doesn't matter who they are, that are in poverty and that need to be helped. And this is where the government has to come into these things before they do anything else. These are the main things they have to look at, is the poverty, and it's not only people on the streets. This is where it's concerned about families too, as they've been pushed out of government housing, private housing, and who are struggling and who are sleeping in their cars with their children. This is wrong, and this is where the government has to be told, and to even get off their seats in Parliament House and come around and look at these issues that have to be solved, because this is the year 2018 and there has to be something done about this.
I've been homeless for about 6 years now, but I find the hardest thing on the street here is there's just no accommodation for us older women. Like, there's heaps of accommodation out there for or the men, but us older women, we don't have nowhere to go unless it's domestic violence situations. Once you get on the streets here, it's just like a vicious circle, yeah? Yeah, there is services, but they don't help out with accommodation, like, yeah? It's sort of like they put the blanket over the problem.
So we've just been on a bit of a walk around the streets in Perth and seeing the people in Perth. Unless we actually see the people, unless we actually talk to the people, unless we actually take on board what their issues are, how are we going to address it? We need to remember that people are humans. We need to actually show that love, that care, that respect. But again, you have to listen, and you need to go out there, you need to speak to people and find out what is it that what they need and how can you actually make that difference. Not just go out and have that little yarn, what follows after that.
Another 3 weeks before I can get back.
So Tom Fisher gives you a certain amount of time before you can go back to stay, and it depends if you get in first to be able to get a room.
So you spend a lot of time on the street?
A lot of time, we all do.
So what are the types of places you stay at? Or parks, squats, traps, alleyways?
To be honest, the police like moving us on.
Police? Do any police come out to help?
Oh, we have
Any good
police
coppers?
hassle us all the time. They ride around
Are
on
there any
bikes
good
and want
coppers? Are there any good coppers?
I'm starting to get respect from some because they know me well, but because we're homeless, and if there is drug addiction or drink or whatnot, they're starting to like just rip open your green bag. You got nowhere else to store it, put it, whatnot. They'll just slice it open. We're not street drinking.
Do you ever get people coming out onto the streets to help out?
Oh, we have a
Manna?
lot of, and the food is great. You know, you have your support networks of church people that come deliver. We have venues like barbecue and so forth. The main thing is a roof over the head. We need a roof over our head.
So my name's Julie, this is Juliana, Anne, Alice and Trish. And we're a Wednesday crew that work for, volunteer for the organisation called Manna Inc. And we provide a food service daily at Wells Square for the homeless and needy every day between 1:30 and 2:15, 5 days a week. So we cook the food fresh every day in Vic Park and then load up the green van and bring it into Wells Square.
11 years ago, I felt there must be something I can do to assist some of the most disadvantaged, I believe, in our city, the homelessness. And so I thought I'd just take a few provisions into the city and help a few people. I was just overwhelmed by the experience and the need. So I went back every week, and we've been doing that for the last 11 years. And I suppose, unfortunately, the numbers have grown excessively, and today we look after probably around 300 street people each week. We are very grateful to the public who really support our cause, and without their assistance we wouldn't be able to do what we do, and these are all donations that come in every day to help homeless people. So there's definitely a community awareness. Sadly, I don't know if that is extending further than that, but we do appreciate, you know, the great support that we get from the community. On wet days, they are forced to line up in the rain. We only have a few pop-up gazebos that sort of semi-protect our food and clothing, but for our street friends, they are in the elements.
I came to Street Friends because I just wanted to help people, and this is amazing. I met Michelle and saw what she was doing, and I just want to be involved. And a year later, I'm here, and we have tripled in numbers, and we've been donated a warehouse where we can store donations now. So it's amazing. We're actually helping so many people. But what I would like is to be able to work with the homeless closely, so we can help retrain them and help them develop skills, and just work further with them. But we seem to always be stopped. There's always something that's stopping us from doing what it is that's needed. So it's very frustrating, but it kind of won't stop us. We're going to keep trying, and we're working closely with these people, and they're just beautiful-hearted people, and they're just broken, and they just need support. They need to gain confidence, and they need to just have people that care about them individually. You know?
One of the best things I receive is kindness, and for people on the street, that's one of the the areas that impacts their life the most. And I think knowing that we're down here every week, we never miss offering them these provisions, but also people that generally care about them is just so important.
Living on the streets in winter means living in the cold, living in acute cold, freezing. People are born on the streets, believe it or not. Babies are born on the streets, people die on the streets. The suicides on the streets, this is an elevated risk group. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years of age, young people suiciding, older people suiciding, elderly people suiciding on the streets, goes unreported.
Yeah,
How can that not be homeless if they're living in tents? That is homeless.
It's up to the individual to make a difference. We all know that. You have to move forward, you know. A lot of us can't because we're financially struck. We're homeless because of family and so forth, you know, like so many reasons.
My kids were taken off me by DCP, and we did courses they told us that they paid for us to do. And then when we finished the courses, they said that we never did the course. That's just not being pushed down by government. I don't know what is. All we wanted was our kids back. Like you're homeless, like a lot of people here are, but where are their back ancestor family ties? Like, how do they have a strong family connection to not be on the street, to be able to go to an uncle or an auntie and say, oh, can I stay the night? Can I stay? Because the uncles and aunties don't know them because they're all split apart.
The reality is that too many people don't have places to go, so they go to family members where there's already 10, 15, 20 people. That actually places a burden on their homes, on the homes west position, and therefore that actually leads to evictions.
There's all sorts of reasons why people on the street, even millions, some are claustrophobic, some haven't got a family, some are domestic violence, some are just from another state even, which I found this morning of one bloke, and he can't get the support he needs.
Everybody in all these buildings around us, the 2 decisions away from being in the same position as me. There's not enough houses here already, and we're bringing more people, but we're not looking after the people that were already here. It's just, it doesn't make any sense.
And also what's actually argued as beggary and vagrancy, and the beggary that goes with the vagrancy for a couple of quid, for a couple of gold coins, for a $5 note, for a $10 note. You've got people in our city shires, you've got people in government, you've got high profile individuals that should know better, and you've got the general citizenry being washed up and soaked up in the language and the poor vocabulary of our leadership, which isn't the leadership in itself, saying that the beggary that goes on, which is an eyesore for them and the city precincts and the commercial business districts, that it's being misused. It's being misused for a goon bag, it's being misused for smokes, it's being misused for the drink and the needle and meth and whatever. But look, in the end, if they're living deprivation, if they're freezing cold and they're trying to get through the coldest of temperatures and they're trying to abate the worst of the experience, if you've got nothing else to give them, if you've got no other support to give them, don't deny them their goon bag and don't deny them their smoke. That's what gets them through the night. And but in my experience, more often than not, it's spent on a coffee, it's spent on a cheap feed, it's spent on junk food, and if it's spent on a goon bag, so be it.
And this is not right. This is Australia still in the White Australia policy? I heard that was supposed to be dead, but in my eyes, that's alive and well.
Just if there is a politician out there that does care about us, show it. Stop the council from hosing people down when they're sleeping. Like, where are we meant to go? Are we just meant to go in the corners and die? Like,